Okay, guys, before I even start this video, some of y'all are going to be mad, so you were warned. So basically, I'm about to share some probably very unpopular opinions that I stand on. But before I get into that, let me start with the fact. I made that video talking about witchcraft and how I saw this video talking about people putting love spells. Tell me why there's literally a girl on Love Island, and whether or not her friend posted this as a joke or not, she literally posted, "Oh, that Etsy witch I got to do a love spell. It's working. He's now closed off in the villa with this girl Sierra on the show. She's been coupled up with Nick for a while, and I feel like it's always come across that she was a lot more interested in him than he was in her. And then they like had recently quote unquote closed off in the villa. And then the caption that her friend decided to post was, "The Etsy witch worked." So that's a popular person that people are watching on TV right now, having making a joke about that type of stuff. So no, it's not a stretch to say like people are actually trying to do witchcraft to get people to like them. And how many people have like, "I went to an Etsy witch to put a spell on this person." Like, people are really actually doing that. And I think that is actually wild. Like, that is wild to me that that's even something people consider. And I really did explain like why it's wrong. And I can't participate in stuff like that. And I don't joke about, I would never joke about stuff like that. But I also feel like it's just not something I would ever condone or support. And that's going to bring me into my next topic. And so I've made a fair share of videos about my stance on abortion. And I have touched into this point before. But I'm honestly at a point where it's just like, people are really not understanding the implications of abortion. And this is what I'm going to say. At the end of the day, abortion is ending an innocent human being's life. That's just not something that I will support, right? And whether you believe it's a life or not, you can say whatever you want. You can dehumanize, say it's a clump of cells, whatever, to make you feel better about supporting it. But at the end of the day, you are ending. Abortion is violence towards a human being in the womb. You are intentionally causing harm to a human being in the womb. And so this is why I'm talking about this, because I forgot to mention this. I watched this video about demonic empathy. And basically she was saying like, be careful not to be so empathetic that you are tolerating things that are evil, things that the Bible tells us, don't partake in this. Like, don't be so empathetic of people that you're inherently supporting now demonic or evil activities that people are participating in. Because while God does love and God does forgive and God does give mercy and God does give grace, God also is going to judge and condemn people for the evil actions that they commit when they do not have Jesus. And God is still going to judge us for the sins that go against his word. So basically it's saying like, you can love people. That doesn't mean that you're going to support actions that you know are evil or that go against the Bible. And that was something I was thinking about. And it made me think about abortion specifically because there are literal Christians who are ignoring the reality of abortion being a murder of an innocent human being. And you can be empathetic towards women who have abortions. I say this in every video. I don't hate women who get abortions. I don't support it because I know it is wrong. I believe it's wrong. But I'm also not hating the people who get them. I'm just not going to support or condone a behavior that goes against God's word. And so saying that is not hateful towards someone who had abortions. It's literally me standing on a principle, standing on my belief and what I believe is wrong. And that's not something that I'm going to apologize for. I'm not going to apologize for believing abortion is wrong or believing abortion is murder just because it hurts someone's feelings. That I believe something strongly that this is wrong is not me trying to judge. It's literally just me saying, look, you can believe what you believe about it, but I know what I know, and I can't change my opinion just because you want to be comfortable in this particular area, right? And so it's like, how many times do we, it's almost like, so demonic empathy is how she explained it. It's like you are justifying someone's sin, and you can't do that. Like, you can be understanding of someone's trauma and someone's background and the circumstances surrounding someone, but it doesn't mean you condone an action that actively goes against the word of God. And so the real thing that I was thinking about the other day was just basically, we don't praise men who abandon their children. Deadbeat dads, men who abandon their children because they don't want the responsibility of caring for those children, don't get praised, right? We're not saying, oh, this is you have every right to abandon your child because you don't want the responsibility of raising them, right? But we're glorifying women getting abortions for the exact same reasons. A woman who gets an abortion because they don't want to have to take care of that child, they don't want the responsibility of raising that child, is doing the exact same thing a man who abandons their child, except theirs is violence, enables violence to be done to the child as well. Theirs allows an act of violence. There's an added act of violence happening to the child. You know, is it harmful for, it's like two wrongs don't make a right, essentially. And I've watched people make comments to women who share that they're pregnant and a man leaves them, and I've watched women tell that woman that she should get an abortion because the man left her and her child, that because the man left, she needs to now murder her child, her unborn child, because a man left her. And I can't help, it's evil to me. It's evil that you would tell a woman to kill her unborn baby because the father left her and the child. The child now deserves to die because the man abandoned her. The man's actions are wrong. Point blank, period. Someone doing wrong to that woman and that child does not give the woman the right to now harm her child. That's where I feel like you lost me. You lost me when people think because someone, if a man is able to escape responsibility of their child, you're saying women should also be able to escape the responsibility of the child, but they're equally doing wrong. They are both in the wrong, in my opinion. If it is wrong for a father to abandon his child that he helped create, that he helped bring into this world, that he made choices, if he willingly slept with a woman and got her pregnant, and that man abandons his child and his responsibility, we are not praising those men for abandoning their responsibility to their children. So why is it we're telling a different message? Why are we telling women that they're allowed to abandon their responsibilities to their child by having an abortion? And they're told that's their right as women. But it's not a man's right to abandon their child. You see, these two things don't make sense. They're not, it's not consistent. It's not consistent because if it's okay for a woman to abandon responsibilities to a child that she helped create but doesn't want the responsibility, doesn't want to raise it, then why don't we support men abandoning a child or a pregnant woman? Two, they're both wrong. That's the point I'm making. They're doing the same thing. They're both doing the same thing. One just has an extra layer of violence being done, because it's like you can abandon, and this is why I'm like, we shouldn't hate on a woman choosing to give a child up for adoption, because at the end of the day, that is a much more commendable, respectable, like, hey, this is a child that I helped create. I don't have the resources. I'm not ready to be a parent. Let me give this child up for adoption to the millions of people who are waiting to adopt a child. Versus, well, I also just don't like this idea of having to use my body to, I don't know. The other thing behind like the whole my body, my choice thing that never makes sense to me, the literal only purpose of a uterus is to nourish and protect a human life. The only purpose of it in a woman's body. It's literally the only purpose of a uterus. You are literally going against the natural order of your own body. That your uterus was created to house, home, create, nourish, and protect a baby, a fetus, whatever you want to call it. But that's like the actual purpose of your uterus. And only women have the privilege of doing that. Only a biological female is ever going to be capable of holding and nourishing a human life in the womb. That's what your womb is actually. That's what it was designed for. That's what it was created for. That sole purpose. I'm not saying you have to use your womb, but that's the purpose of your womb, of your reproductive system. Your body was literally designed for that. Your body was literally created for that. It's like you're going against, I don't even want to say it's going against like the natural order of your body at the end of the day. Because I was saying, like, this is why I say abortion is not natural. Abortion is not natural. If your own body fights to protect a child while it's in its womb, your own body starts prioritizing sending resources to the baby, because it's like, ooh, there's a new life. This is what our whole system, your entire body system. And this is not me saying the only importance a woman holds is their ability to create life. I'm just saying it is a beautiful God-given gift that women have. It's a superpower that women's bodies are able to do this. And the changes a woman's body goes through during pregnancy is so beautiful. I have nothing but the utmost respect for and appreciation for, what my mom did. My mom literally, it's just like what women's bodies do when they're pregnant is such a beautiful thing. The relationship between mother and child, the mother's body prioritizes and wants to nourish and wants to protect. It's like it's that the instinctual mothering that happens when a woman is pregnant is such a beautiful relationship to see. And that's what I feel like is almost the most painful about abortion. It's like the relationship between a mother and a child is turned and twisted into this. Now you're looking at your own child as your enemy. Oh, I don't want this baby. This baby is a parasite. And it's like the way the pro-abortion industry turns this beautiful relationship that should exist between a mother and her child into this like oh, it's a parasite, it's stealing nutrients from this woman's body, it's doing all these things. It's like it twists it into something it twists something beautiful into something that is ugly, in order to get you to believe, in order to convince women to believe they have the right to end the life of their own children in their womb. And so it's just like, again, I can't in any way, shape, or form rationalize intentionally causing harm to an unborn human being just because you don't want it. I would say, even in the instance, and I've heard people say no abortion is medically necessary. It's like if a pregnancy is not viable, there's nothing that is forcing you to end end that person's life before they actually pass away. It's just like, if someone's about to die, and I've made this argument before, just because someone is about to die, let's say someone's diagnosed with terminal cancer. If I know someone's diagnosed with terminal cancer and they have a limited amount of time left to live on this world, do I just go ahead and kill them because they're about to die anyways? It's like, you don't know how much longer that person have. They could have 1 day, they could have 2 days, they could have another year, they could have 2 years, they could have 3 years. It's still not, to me, doesn't make it right. Like, just because someone has a disease that is terminal, or maybe the pregnancy is, they have deformities, whatever, I feel like you can still give respect to the life of that person by allowing that life to persist until it's actually their time to go, versus forcing death on someone that is going to die. And when you think about it, and this is going to give you a bigger picture, we're all one day closer to death. There is no amount of time promised to any single person. Every single person living right now, our tomorrow is not promised. People die, pass away tragically every single day. No one has the right to end somebody else's life simply because they might not live for another 20 plus years. Life is too precious to be willing to cut off someone else's life like that. And this is why I would say, like, I don't know. I watched the doctor say it's never medically necessary to have an abortion. Even late-term ones, the safest option is usually a C-section delivery. It doesn't mean the baby is always going to survive, but it's not necessary to actively cause harm to the child to save a mother's life. You don't have to kill the baby to save a mother's life. You don't have to actively harm the child in the womb just to save a woman's life. That is not a scenario that is actually necessary. That's what the abortion industry tries to paint to women. It is never necessary to harm the child to save the woman's life. Is it sometimes necessary to deliver the baby? Yes. Is in an ectopic pregnancy, is it necessary to remove the tube from the woman's body before it bursts and can cause additional harm to her body? Yes. But in doing so, the purpose is not to intentionally harm the child. It's to save the woman's life. And because at that stage, if it's too early, the baby is already is not able to grow if it's not in the mother's uterus, right? Actually, that's not even true. I'm going to take that back, because there's literally been so many miracle pregnancies of children growing outside of the mother's womb and surviving, but that's another story. But anyways, my point is this: a notion that you're required to harm the child in order for the mother to live is not true. This is it's a false dilemma. Now, if a child has passed away, it's a miscarriage, right, in the womb. The medical term for that is an abortion, but what people don't have an issue with that, because it's like the child already passed away. If there's no heartbeat, if the pregnancy has already if the child's died of its natural causes, that is not anything that anyone is ever going to say like you did something wrong. But it's the point where you're deciding to end the life before it's time. is where you have to question the integrity of what's being done. I would never, like I said, I would never want to be in that situation, but I also feel like the reason that the abortion industry to me is evil is because it paints this picture like you have to kill the child in order to save your life, and that's simply just not true. You don't have to kill the child in order to save the woman's life. So the best option, the safest option, the quickest option for emergency situations in a pregnancy is usually a C-section. If you were actually dying, you wouldn't be having an abortion. This is what I want people to know. If you were about to die, if a woman comes into the emergency room because of pregnancy complications, and her life is actually at risk, the safest option and the quickest option that doctor can do is just deliver the baby, even if it's early. But the least safe option is let's kill the baby first, go through a medical abortion. It's like, no, it's just like it's not necessary to save a woman's life. An ectopic, and I guess a tubal litigation, which is what's done for ectopic pregnancies, is, in my opinion, I don't consider that abortion either, because I feel like it's the express intent is not let me end the life of the child. It's let me remove this piece of the tube that the child has implanted in, because otherwise it's going to cause harm to this woman's body. But I also feel like, again, I don't know, it's too much of, the gray area is are you required to intentionally harm another and someone else's life to save your own? This is where I feel like I can't support the notion that abortion is required to save a woman's life, because how is it necessary to kill the child in order for the mother to live? That to me had never made sense. Like, knowing that there's an abortion, like a doctor who's performed abortion literally said in every situation it was not necessary for him to kill the child. He could deliver it with a C-section, it might not survive, but it wasn't necessary for him to end the life of the child to save the woman's life. That's the false equivalency that the abortion industry is trying to paint to women. And that's just simply, I feel like it's a lie. I believe that's a lie that's being told to women. And the other thing is, I saw this woman share a story that it is sad, but it also makes me question, like, what women are being told. Because basically, this is the situation. It's someone who shared this publicly, so I'm not giving, like, information that's private or something. She shared about her abortion, right? She had a planned pregnancy. She said her and her husband wanted the baby, but she said at 9 weeks they weren't able to find a heartbeat. And so this is what confused me, because it's like, did you have a miscarriage? She doesn't say that she had a miscarriage, though. She says she had a medical abortion. She chose to have a medical abortion. So I'm like, wait a minute. You didn't, I don't know. This is why I'm saying, like, this is what I am trying to understand. Was the baby already passed away, or was it just most likely they were, so you went ahead and ended the life of that child? Because in that scenario, I'm like, why do you have to kill it before it's actually passed away? Like, do y'all understand what I'm saying? Why are we telling women that because it's likely the pregnancy isn't going to be viable, isn't going to come to term, so let's go ahead and abort the child? But it's like, if the child hasn't actually passed away yet, why do you have to, like, intentionally kill it first? Why not let nature run its course? Why not let the baby actually just exist until it's actually not ready to go? Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like with the cancer, like we know if you, doctors can predict a lot of things, but they cannot predict the time someone is actually, how much time someone actually has. I feel like in this scenario, is it harmful? Is it more harmful to allow a pregnancy that isn't viable to end on its own? Is that, I would say allowing a pregnancy that's not viable to end on its own is still better than intentionally ending the life of it just because you're told it's not viable. And this is where it's just like, and I get people are going to hear this and they can disagree, whatever. But like I said, the scenario is like someone has terminal cancer. The doctor is saying they only have 3 months to live. They could pass away tomorrow. They could pass away 3 years from now. Do you have the right to kill someone just because they're already dying? I don't think the answer to that is yes. Because no person on the planet has every person has a finite amount of time. Like, death is guaranteed to every single person. Why would I purposely kill someone before their time just because I know they're dying? Like, life, that's what I'm saying. This is why being pro-life matters, because life is too precious to end someone's life before their time. And this is why I'm like, I understand a doctor saying someone's pregnancy isn't viable, but does that mean you have to purposely end the life of the child before it's actually come to its own ending? Like, why is it wrong to say, well, I understand the pregnancy's not viable, but I'd rather wait for the, like, it to come, like, end on its own than be like, well, let me go ahead and kill it. That's what I'm not understanding. Like, I hope that makes sense to people. Why is it that we're telling women they have to go ahead and kill the child first? Because I understand, like, miscarriages are hard, but I don't understand why it would be make you more comfortable to end the child before, like, rather than allowing the child to exist, like, end the pregnancy to end on its own terms. Why force the pregnancy to end? Why force, like, it's like, I don't want to say it's forcing a miscarriage, but it's like you're not even allowing it to run its own course on its own. It's just like, that's what I don't agree with. It's like, I don't know. It's just like, miscarriage is not something that I would wish for any woman to experience. And I know a lot of women who've experienced miscarriages, and it's hard. But I also feel like this notion that an unviable pregnancy requires abortion versus allowing it to exist until it's on its own. Like, I don't know, allowing nature to take its course is not, in my sense, shouldn't be considered a problem. And this is why I really don't think that these people are taking that into account. I think they don't realize that doctors who are doing those things, it's because they're trying to study the children and get the cells. At the end of the day, the abortion industry is evil. What they're doing with the human remains, because at the end of the day, it's human DNA that is in a fetus. They're taking human stem cells to study for scientific purposes. I don't care what anyone says. Like, it's in a sense, I feel like it's human heart. They're harvesting the remains of these children for scientific purposes. I feel like and they're telling women to get abortions before a pregnancy is for pregnancies that aren't viable, in my opinion, because they want to be able to get the cells from that woman, versus, you know, I don't know, in the sense of like, I don't know, miscarriages, I know, like, usually happen on their own. And yes, a miscarriage sometimes does require medical intervention. So I'm not saying it that way. I'm just saying, like, if the baby hasn't actually passed away, why do you have to make it pass away before it actually has? That's my only, like, I guess, point or question, in the sense of, it's like, I don't know. Again, it's just like, there's no, in my opinion, there's no need to intentionally cause harm. And then it's just like, the people who pretend to care about, like, human suffering, whatever, it's like, it's still up to each person to decide when a suffering is too much for them to handle. Like, this is why it's like, if you don't support assisted suicide, or you support assisted suicide, if you believe that someone has the right to end their own life because of their own suffering, and you support assisted suicide, which is AKA someone murdering another person with permission, right? Does that exist with an abortion? You know, you can say, well, the quality of life of that child might not have been great, so I chose to abort the child because I didn't want it to suffer in the future. But you made that decision for that person, right? Like, if that child hadn't actually passed away already in the womb, you still enforced your own will over that child's life. And this is why I'm like, my real stance is like, life should be respected as long as it's there. So long as it's there, right? Like, value the life of a person for as long as they have it. Cherish the life of that child for as long as it's there. As much as, even if it's, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever, I feel like you should cherish it so long as it's there, until it's naturally their life naturally comes to an end. Why am I going to force the ending of someone's life? Why do we need to force the ending of someone's life? Why do we have to force the ending of a pregnancy that's not viable? Why not allow the life to end on its own will? You don't have to force someone's life to be ended. I think that's the best way for me to phrase what I'm saying. It's like, I don't understand this idea that you have to end someone's life before it comes to an end on its own. Like, why take away, why not allow it to last as long as it can? Why prematurely end someone's life? If it was time for them to go, this is why I'm like, assisted suicide is kind of wrong, in my opinion. And it's like, how much suffering do we require of people? It's basically going to end up being someone who's depressed, going to this person, and basically being murdered. Because they're going to say, I'm suffering, I'm so depressed, I hate my life. And it could be an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old. Like, what age do we determine is okay for assisted suicide? What age? This is the slippery slope that is going to this is what's going to happen. The slippery slope has already started, right? Abortion was the beginning of that slippery slope. We allowed literal people to kill unborn babies. We allowed people to kill people at the very beginning of their life. Before they're even born, we're allowing people to kill them, right? And so now we have this new idea called assisted suicide, where, someone can say, I'm suffering too much in this life, take me out of it, I give you permission to end my life. And all that's going to do is bring about a lot of death and lawsuits. Because imagine, like, a child's depressed, Like, at what age are we gonna allow someone to request assisted suicide? As soon as they turn 18? If they're an adult and they're experiencing depression and they believe their depression is too much and they'll never get better, and they have no choice but to end their own life, and someone can assist them? Do we support people ending their own lives? Do we support people committing suicide now? It's like, this is the it's a culture of death. All of the things that I'm mentioning, it's a culture of death, because all of these things are promoting ending someone's life, and they're promoting death as being an end, a means of empowerment, and it's anything but that. Ending someone's life is not helping them. I don't know. I'm not going to apologize for respecting the lives of people, for saying the life of someone should be cherished so long as it's there, for saying life is too precious to intentionally take away or end someone else's life. That's why murder is wrong. In any other sense of the world, we don't celebrate someone being murdered because it's wrong. But people celebrate abortions. People are bragging about abortions. Ugh. It's just, again, the world seems like it's getting more evil. And I feel like it's just the result of people not caring about anyone but themselves. Oh, well, if someone wants to end their own life, they can. If their life doesn't matter to them, why should it matter to me? Why should I care what someone else wants to do with their own? Why should I care if someone wants to end their own life? Basically, it's kind of like how someone can support something like assisted suicide. Just because someone in a momentary period of their life thinks their life isn't valuable or is depressed, experiencing depression, doesn't mean that their life is actually not worthy. They're actually not worthy of life, and their life is actually never going to get better. As I say this as someone who experienced depression and experienced suicidal thoughts, that is not something, it was miserable, it was suffering, but it was not permanent, and it was not forever. And I would never glorify someone choosing to end their own life as being like a good decision we should support for people in the future, right? Like, obviously, it's a sad loss of a life, regardless of how you want to paint it. You're not taking your power back by ending your life because of your depression. It's your depression taking over your life. That is the final stage of depression. It's not healing for someone to end their own life because they were depressed. That's exactly what the enemy wants from you when you are depressed. You don't win depression by ending your life. It's basically, some people are trying to paint it in that narrative, and I feel like that's not what I believe. I feel like that's how you lose your battle to depression at that point. And it's sad. And I really don't know. Depression is a very serious topic as well that I know a lot of people do struggle with. I don't think antidepressants help depression either. Almost every depression med says it can increase suicidal thoughts as a risk. So, I don't know. I honestly believe the only way to overcome depression is you have to reframe your world, your view of the world, and your view of your life. It's a mindset change that has to happen, because what brings on depression is not, it's like a chemical imbalance in the brain by is not always caused by like, depression is not necessarily caused by chemical imbalances in the brain. It's measured by that, but that's not the actual cause of depression. And I feel like this is why it's like medication for certain things is not going to help because it's not the cause. You know, if someone has, you know, a chemical imbalance in their brain, the cause of that could be a lot of things, but it's not necessarily because of, what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is I think that sometimes medication is like putting a band-aid over a bullet wound, or I should say it's not getting the root issue of depression. And people who go through withdrawals from like, it's like people can be depressed because they were taking drugs and then they're coming off of withdrawal. A withdrawal effect of doing heavy drugs could be depression, right? So it's like treating that with more medication is not necessarily going to solve that, in my opinion, because the chemical imbalance was created by the drug use to begin with. But anyways, the cure to depression, in my opinion, is a mindset and lifestyle change. It's renewing your mind. That's what the Bible even says. It says you have to renew your mind. You have to renew how you view your life and how you look at the world. And it starts with not making yourself the center of the universe, right? If you're really focused on all of your problems and how horrible and how miserable your life is, you're going to be depressed. You'll always be depressed if you're always focused on your problems. When you have an attitude of gratefulness and a heart that is appreciative, you'll start being a lot happier in life. That's something I can actually promise you. A grateful heart and spirit. It's impossible to be depressed when you're grateful. When you're grateful for what you have, you can't be depressed. I honestly believe that. It's impossible to be depressed when you're grateful. Like, if you're thankful, I'm so grateful for this place I have to live. I'm so grateful for my life. I'm so grateful for my family. I'm so grateful for my friends. How can you be depressed and great? You can't be depressed and grateful at the same time. I think it's impossible. An attitude of gratitude can cure depression. When you can recognize what to be grateful for in your life, it renews. That's a way of renewing your mind, essentially. Like, instead of complaining about all the things that are going wrong in my life, I'm going to focus on what I can be grateful for right now. I'm going to focus on what I have instead of focus on what I don't have. Like, it really is an attitude shift. The renewing of your mind is a lot more powerful than people realize. And the fact that the Bible has been telling us for thousands of years, you need to renew your mind. You need to renew your mind. Like, all of the answers to a lot of life's problems are literally in the Bible. And it's actually scientifically backed. I don't know if people know this. There's scientific backing that this that can cure depression. Renewing someone's mind, a change in attitudes, a change in thought. So that's not made up, but the Bible has been saying that. Anyways, if you made it this far, great. That's just thoughts I wanted to share. I know I hold opinions that are not popular to some people or popular to a lot of people, and nothing I ever say is to everything that I say is like, my opinions are my opinion. I don't need other people to agree with me. It doesn't change how I feel. It's just me saying this is how I feel about the situation. You're entitled to feel differently, and I still love and respect you. So that's really all I have to say. Bye, y'all.